Hey guys, it's me again, Chris, and today we're gonna go ahead and build a gaming PC or an editing PC. It's up to you how you want to see it. But basically, I chose parts that would allow me to edit videos and pictures with Lightroom, Sony Vegas, and Adobe Premiere, and basically with the kind of power that this PC has, it's gonna allow me to play games as well. So let's get started with the actual parts that I'll be using today. The white case that you're seeing right there is the case or Ducati from Deepcool. Sorry, don't really know how to pronounce it, but it's spelled as Dukase. So it could be Ducase or Ducase. Kayo nang bahala. Next, gonna zoom a little closer para mas makita niyo yung parts. For the processor, we're gonna be using the Ryzen 5 3600. This is a hexa-core processor. That means it has 6 cores, 12 threads. Very powerful, very budget-oriented as well. If you want to get the best bang for your buck build, this is the best processor that you can buy right now. Well, kaka-release lang nung bagong AMD processors, 3100 and 3200 if I'm not mistaken, but still this is still considered the best budget CPU based on the power and the price. Next is the RAM, and what we're going to be using is the Vengeance Pro from Corsair. This is 32,000 megahertz, 3,200 megahertz. It comes in two 18 gigabyte sticks, so that's a total of 16 gigabytes. We will be using the Asus ROG Strix B40 gaming motherboard. It's a very good motherboard, very easy to overclock your system with it. It has 4, let me show you. I'll show it to you later on, but just so you have an idea, it has 4 DIMM slots, has a couple of slots for NVMe or SSD, so you could mount it on board. That's M2 slots, by the way. Of course, it comes with an AM4 slot. From the seller, sabi nila sa akin, this has already been upgraded to be used. The BIOS, I mean, has been upgraded to be used with a Ryzen 5 3600, so we shouldn't have any problem later on pagdating sa pagboboot. Now, the graphics card that I'll be using, I don't have the box, unfortunately. This is a Gigabyte RX580. Well, based on reviews, this is the best, and well, not really cheapest, but it's the best video card that you could get to pair with a 3600. Best budget card. That's the perfect term. It's the best budget card that you could use with a Ryzen 3600 build. For storage, we have a 128 gigabyte M2 SSD. We also have a 256 gigabyte RAM solid state drive, and of course, for the pictures, videos, and games, we have a 2 terabyte gold edition Western Digital hard disk drive. Now, why do I have too much storage? Well, it's a good practice to have multiple storage devices. Kasi pag nasira yung isa, at least you still have more. Another thing that's very good about it is if you boot your OS from this kind of solid state drive, sobrang bilis niya. It's like just putting up your mobile phone. And And the reason why I still opted to go for hard disk drive is because based sa price, you get more storage out of it. Less speed, but mas malaking storage capacity mo. And that's pretty much where I'm gonna store the stuff that I download and create. So, okay lang yun. Ang importante doon is for the OS and the programs that I'll be using a lot, which is mainly going to be for video and photo editing. Next is, I'm planning to overclock this CPU, so I have this Gamax L240T radiator. It's an AIO all-in-one cooler. It's gonna make sure that my CPU runs cool even when overclocked. For the power supply, I have the ZM700LX80 that's rated at 80 bronze, 80 plus. I'm sorry, yeah, 80 plus bronze. So it's pretty stable power supply. I also have a couple of extension sleeves from Deep Cool. These are white extension sleeves. I just want to make the computer look good as well, since as you can see the case, you can see right through the case, has a clear side panel. So kung titignan mo siya, at least maganda rin tignan. So it's more of an aesthetic option, but we might as well go for it, right? So let's go ahead and get started with the actual build. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention, I also have this cooler ring. It's 3 120mm case fans from Keytech. It's RGB. It's for aesthetics again. Tried it out. It looks really nice. So it comes with a LED strip as well, and an actual controller and what do you call this? Let me show it to you. Just give me 1 sec, okay? Comes with this. Then this is where you attach all your other fans. Para hindi mo kasi limited lang naman yung power supply ng fans dun sa motherboard. So this is really good to have. So I'm still kind of confused on what to do, since meron na to. The CPU case probably has one too, and the motherboard has, where is it? Yeah, there you go, Aura Sync. So it means I can control the lights, the RGBs, via a program that you can install in the computer. And by the way, this is my first time building an actual PC, so if I make any mistakes, feel free to comment. Let me know what I'm doing wrong, so that other people who want to, or who would want to build their own PCs can learn. So again, let's go ahead and jump right into the build. So yeah, we're gonna open up the motherboard now. It's always safe practice to have, what do you call this, an anti-static strap or an anti-static mat. Unfortunately, I don't have one, but the good thing is I'm not stepping on carpet. I can simply discharge my body's natural or my body's static charge by touching metal or anything that's plugged into power. So technically I'll be grounded too before touching the actual parts. So if you have an anti-static bracelet, by all means use it, just to be safe. So what I'm gonna do right now, or today, is everything that I learned after watching Linus from Linus Tech Tips, Jay's 2 cents, and Paul's Hardware, and of course Bitwit, Kyle from Bitwit. So if you guys don't know them, check out their videos. They're, especially Kyle, he's very funny. So, and then I think he's Asian too, so might as well support the guy. Now here's the user manual, the actual motherboard layout. Now since I only have 2 memory sticks, I'll be dual channeling this this motherboard. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll be dual channeling the RAM to make sure I get the most out of it in terms of performance. The box comes with a door hanger, stickers, awesome, cord, DVD drive, which no one's probably ever gonna use, a couple of screws, and this is to mount the M2 memory stick. It's like a standoff, some motherboard, and this is to replace. Wait, let me get it out of the anti-static bag. And I'm gonna use the box as a platform for building. It's great to prevent any static charge from building up as well, so might as well use it. So sorry for the unnecessary pause there. So let me show you the motherboard. There you go. Sexy. Very nice. Looks really nice. I need to get some light onto it so you can see it. Let me pause the video. So here's a better view of the motherboard. This is a sticker that came inside a box. So I'm assuming you can replace this part, or the sticker, whatever that is, with this. Looks really nice. So let's go ahead and get started with the actual build. So I'm just gonna unbox the processor. I'm probably gonna just do a time lapse at this part of the builds so I don't bore you guys out. It's my first time, so expect me to be a bit slow. Okay, so let's unbox the CPU. So here's the actual Ryzen 5 3600 CPU. There you go. And you have to be careful when you hold this CPU. It's the thing about AMD CPUs. This is something I learned from Jay's 2 cents, is that the actual CPU, or the pins on the CPU, is on the actual processor itself, and with Intel the pins are actually on the motherboard. So you have to be very careful. Do not touch it and avoid making any sort of contact to it, just to be safe. Alright, now the CPU comes with its own fan. It's the AMD Spire, if I'm not mistaken. Now, if you're not gonna overclock your system, this should be enough. This should be enough for you, but like I said, I'm gonna overclock it. Comes with pre-applied thermal paste as well, so don't touch it. Be careful with it. I'm just gonna put it back here. I'm just gonna keep it just in case I need it in the future. I like how it feels. So it feels very sturdy. If you watch my videos, you know I have a thing for sturdy stuff. So feels really nice. Feels durable. So yeah, I like it. So let me go. I'm kind of nervous, to be honest with you. But I really want to experience doing this, so that's the point why I'm making the video. So I'm gonna take the CPU out of the plastic casing. Let me lift this up. Just try to figure out how to do this safely. Please bear with me. Okay. It's quite embarrassing. There we go. So, if you would look closely at the, what do you call this? If you would look closely at the AM4 socket, you're gonna see a little triangle there at the top. All you need to do is get your CPU, find that little triangle. Let me see if I could zoom into it or focus on it. You know what? Never mind. You're gonna figure it out on your own anyways. But let me see. Just too scared to touch. So there's a little gold triangle there. The camera is not picking it up. There's a little gold triangle here. Right there, right here. And all you need to do is simply align that to the triangle on the actual board. Okay, so let's do that right now. There we go. Just an FYI, that pretty much went in there. It didn't really need to apply any pressure. The weight of the CPU was enough to align itself to the actual pins, or to align the pins on the actual slot. So all you need to do is pull this down and CPU installed. Awesome. Okay, next step. Next is I'm going to go ahead and install the standoff. These are the standoffs for the M2 SSDs. Next is we simply go ahead and attach the M2 stick. I was kind of nervous when I saw this because you see it has slots here. This is why I paused the video. The slot on the board doesn't have any of those, but I looked at samples on the internet. Seems that it's pretty normal to have that slot. So if this doesn't work later on, we know why. But let me go ahead and install it right now. Just have to push it in a bit. Be careful though. Just put this down here and screw this end. It's important to never ever forget to put the standoff first before installing that M2 SSD, because it's going to install the actual card in this orientation and it can break it, even the actual slots themselves. So install them that way. Next is the next thing that I need to install here, or put on this build, is the actual CPU cooler, which I'm using right now to mount the light on. So I'm going to pause the video again. So let me just get the cooler out of the box. So you know what, guys, I thought this was going to be easy, but it's not as easy as those tech guys make it look. So it's amazing how how they managed to do that. Again, please, ako na mismo nagsasabi sa inyo, take everything that I'm saying with a grain of salt. I am no expert. I'm just, learning as I'm making the video. So, since I'm making a fool out of myself, expect a lot of time lapse on this video right about now. Now, one thing you have to know about fans is that this side is where the air is getting pushed towards to. Okay, wherever you see this bracket, this is where the air is coming into. So, what I want to do is get the air from inside of the case outside at the top of the actual CPU case. So this is the orientation that I'm gonna go with. You have to be careful when you're doing this. You do not want to puncture the radiator. So, don't force it in. As soon as you feel some sort of resistance, just go ahead and stop. And another good practice is to screw or tighten the screws in a cross pattern or X pattern. This will ensure that even yung pagkakamount ng screws. So just do it na pa X, like so. when you apply thermal compound, you don't need to put a lot on the actual CPU or the processor. If you think about it, there's really no, well, there is of course need to apply thermal compound, but if what I'm trying to say is, if you really think about it, you can just connect them together and they should be fine. The thermal compound, what it does is it fills out, or it fills in to there's tiny gaps that the human eyes cannot see on the actual metals connecting the cooler to the CPU, and those tiny cracks or slits can build up or can prevent the actual cooler from doing its job. So it's a thermal compound's job to make sure that, you know, they get as much contact as possible. So you just want about a pea size of thermal compound. Okay, so I'll go ahead and apply the thermal paste now. That should be enough. Pea-sized. Let me let me bring you in closer to the actual paste. That's not so hard now. The Verge, if you're watching, that wasn't so hard. So, well, not really The Verge. That guy from The Verge. Yeah, so that should suffice. And that should be more than enough. Right there. That amount should be good enough. So continuing with the build, I want to make sure that the logo is on the right orientation. If you're gonna do it, might as well do it right. So next, what I want to install now is, of course, the RAM. You can install the RAM right now. From Corsair. Very good reviews about this RAM too. Aside from, you know, having RGB. In terms of performance, you say it's pretty good. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to go ahead and dual channel this. So what I need to do is put these sticks in slot 2 and 4. Next part is just mounting everything on the actual case. So I'll pause the video for a bit. Catch you guys soon. So this tower is actually a lot bigger than I thought. I got used to that micro ATX setup that I used to have before this. So it was a very small case, so I wasn't expecting it to be this big. I was expecting it to be bigger, but damn. This thing is massive. Okay, so I'm just gonna remove the thumb screws. I want to be able to see how much room I have for cable management. Oh, a lot of malarkey going on in here. I don't want this. I'm not going to mount any hard disk drive to this baby anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove this if I can. Still have to figure out how. Yeah, okay. So with a little force I was able to pry it open. It does come with one front fan as advertised. No RGB, but that's fine. It's gonna do what it's supposed to do. I just really want to remove this DVD tray because I'm not gonna use it. I think it makes the whole thing look ugly. So, tanggalin lang natin siya. It's a nice case though. I'm gonna put links on the description below for all these items. Most of them I got from Lazada and Shoppee, of course. One more is holding it in. I don't know which one. Oh, here. Sorry. Alright. Stupid. Okay. Alright. So yeah, it's off. Awesome. Alright, so I'm just gonna keep this piece. I might be able to use that someday. Alright. So now I have two options. Either I mount the radiator here or here. I think yeah, I think I'd rather do it here at top. And so I'm gonna screw in the motherboard on the ATX posts. By the way, this case can pretty much, oh, there's nothing that controls the light on the case. So yeah, it's a good thing that I have where is it? This one from Keytech. Alright, so yeah, as I was saying, this case can be used for ATX, micro ATX, mini ATX motherboard, so pretty much covers everything. Now here's the manual, the screws, Oh, zip ties. Awesome. Speaker. Alright, so let me put that on the side for now. Oh, let me worry about this. Get out of there. Molex. Ah, Molex. Why are you still around? I hate Molex connections. One, it's so difficult to just simply, you know, put your it's so difficult to attach. It's even more difficult to remove at times. So I don't know why they're all up front. Let me just put everything at the back for now. I'll figure it out later on. So what do I want to install first? The motherboard. Okay, so it's good that the standoffs are already attached to the case, so I just need to pretty much put the motherboard there, start screwing. Well, let's go ahead and do that. Now this motherboard doesn't come with an I/O shield. That's a beautiful thing about this ROG motherboard. Everything's just there. Okay. So before I actually screw it in, I want to see if there's any slots here where I can route my cables onto. No, I don't think there's any. There's a couple here. What do I need to put here? Well, I need the 8-pin to power the motherboard. There's no area here where I can route it. This is the closest one. It's still, oh, here. Yeah, I can route it through here. So you know what? Let me go ahead and attach the power supply first, and then we'll fix that later. So I don't want to worry about routing once everything is mounted. I want to do it now, as early as now, just to be sure. The last thing that I want is plug everything up and then end up removing all of these or all of the components because I forgot to route something. Oh, damn. Okay. Okay, so another thing I don't like about this case is cable management. What I want to do is I want to route these cables to this side and at the back, so we could basically hide everything away from plain sight. It could get very ugly if I leave it there. Well, I'm sure the manufacturer didn't want me to leave it there, but what if this was being used by someone who doesn't, really know much about building computers, much like myself. Just so happens that I watched a lot of videos, so I'll fix that too. You know what? I just decided to use the Keytech fans here, so I'll have RGB as well. So let me put it here. I'll find somewhere else to put those later on. Okay. So before I attach them, I want to make sure I got this right. So like this, right? So I want the cables on this side. Excuse me. I'm not positive for anything, don't worry. I really don't have a lot of complaints about this case, but if I do have any, perhaps it's the lack of rubber grommets. I wish these slots for cabling or for cables have rubber grommets. It would have looked really nice if this case came with those. Mas maganda tignan, tago yung cables, hindi siya kalat-kalat. So yun lang. And also, mamaya papakita ko sa inyo yung actual glass part ng case. It didn't feel like it was actual glass. It didn't even feel like acrylic glass. It felt like plastic. So medyo nato yung na-fall din ng konti, but we'll see. Malay natin, tumagal naman siya. So let me just screw this on. So now I'm gonna have to attach this to route the RGB fans and the LED strip. So this part will go here. This is what supplies the power. This end goes to a Molex connection. So I'm probably going to put it somewhere here, since it's going to be closer to the power supply, and at the same time these RGB lights are closer to it too. So time-lapse time again. Okay, so at this point of the build, what I pretty much want to do is just reroute the cables, make sure that they're attached to where they need to be attached. There's actually a lot going on right now. So another time lapse perhaps? Let's see. Alright, so guys, unfortunately the camera on my battery died when I was attaching all the cables from the CPU to the motherboard, and I wasn't able to show you how I did the cable management. I was in a hurry to finish this computer because I needed one badly. So I wasn't able to record any of those, and I'm sorry, but what I can show you now is the actual finished product. So here she is. Right now I'm just running some benchmarks, because what I did after everything was all set up was I installed Windows 10, Office, and all the other good stuff, the drivers of the video card, etc. And I overclocked it to 4.2 megahertz. So this 3600 Ryzen 5 3600 CPU that I have is currently running on 4.2. The RAM, I overclocked it as well to 3200 megahertz, as well as the GPU, the RX580. It's now running at 1410 megahertz. So very good performance for its price. And as you can see, I have the SSD mounted on the tray. There's a couple of trays that comes in the case. You can mount your SSDs there. I also have an NVMe SSD attached to the motherboard itself. That's a deep cool air cooler. The radiator is up there. Now the RGB lights, they're working very well. They're from Keytech. Let me show you the lights in action. Yeah, so you can pretty much toggle the color scheme, the brightness settings, and the speed of the fans with this remote. So yeah, it looks pretty awesome, pretty dope. And I used AuraSync and ECQ to make sure that the RGBs on the motherboard and the RAM are synchronized. Unfortunately, the cooling system that I have doesn't have RGB lights, just red. Comes with these set of fans, both red in color. Now what I did here is I have a couple of RGB fans, not LGB, I'm sorry, RGB fans mounted inside to get the air inside the CPU out, so it's pushing air out, and up here they're doing the same thing, they're pushing the air out as well, upwards, to ensure that the inside of the case is nice and cool. The ROG motherboard came with this, what do you call this? Yeah, the RGB motherboard came with this ROG door thingies, door hangers. Yeah, so I decided to put it in there because it was too plain. It was the motherboard, the GPU, the white 24 pin and 8 pin cables, and this was just white, so I decided to put something in there. So I placed a door hanger there from ROG. There's also a card from ROG that's I placed here. You really can see, there you go. I hope you can see the writing. Yeah, I should have removed the actual front panel so you could see it better. But yeah, this computer kicks ass. It looks great. It performs really well, and I could expect it to completely obliterate the old PC that I was using. So that's it, guys. I hope you liked the video. Let me take some more shots of the CPU so you pretty much know how it looks like. Looks really nice. Looks clean. And yeah, this part is supposed to go here. It pretty much covers the top of the CPU. Without the fans, it's gonna sit there flush. But even with the fans there, I think it still looks clean, still looks nice. So yeah, I hope you learned something from the video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I'll be more than happy to help. This is my first ever CPU build. I pretty much played around with my old CPUs, but this is the real start from scratch build that I've ever made. So I'm pretty proud. I hope you liked it. If you did, hit like and subscribe. Share it with your friends. And I hope to make more of these videos in the future. Alright, so everyone stay safe. GCQ time, but still, there's absolutely no reason to go out. Don't go out. Good night.